They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, every single day, without which please watch the first two episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Good evening, everyone. It's current affairs tonight, no football. I suppose someone will come on low and mention football. It's a nap. It's a shit. But anyway, it's current affairs. It's about everything tonight, to be honest. Venezuela, the Orishnik. And if you don't know what the Orishnik is, I'll be telling you in a moment what it is. And you've got to ask yourself, with Trump only last week saying what he's going to do to Venezuela, they're all going in and waiting for to get this oil, the gold mines, the emerald mines, this rich earth as well. This is what they want. They want everything in Venezuela. They just want everything. This is why they've got a puppet, Machado, whatever, how you pronounce her name. However you pronounce her name. She's a puppet. And she's a puppet of, believe it or not, the CIA, MI6, and Mossad. She's been groomed by them for years. And I just seen a comment of her, footage, saying what she wants. She wants exactly what the Israelis want and Trump wants in Gaza. Exactly. What I'm saying is, they want all these hotels, palm trees, everything in Gaza, don't they? They want that. The Israelis, the Americans, especially Trump's son and son-in-law, they've heavily invested with hotels to make it a massive paradise for the rich and wealthy, as long as there's no Palestinians there. And they want to do exactly the same. This is what she's saying. This is what I was looking at. On the coast, on the Venezuelan coast, and all the investment coming in. That's what she wants, all the investors, all the foreign investors. So therefore, she's going to privatize everything. And we're to start leave the ordinary Venezuelan. It's not going to happen, though. It's not going to happen. Because Trump, as soon as Russia went and China said, whoa, hang on, this is a multipolar world now. Not just a unipolar world, but you're a little American dollar. And he's backtracked. He's just gone, because what was unloaded by all these ships, and I'm talking battleships and big planes that's flown into Venezuela by the Russians, are the Orishniks, one of the most powerful weapons. So if they made an attempt to storm, they've only got to send one of them. Everyone will be wiped out. And the ordinary American people don't want this. They don't want it. They don't want wars. They're fed up with wars. But the American governments are always doing, they've been doing for years, bringing them into wars. They're fed up with it. I'm talking about ordinary Americans, with a couple of brain cells. The rest of them are just, they're not interested. They're not interested. They haven't a clue what's going on in the world. They just think America is the world. Especially when you get some of the Americans don't even know where they live. They don't even know where the state is. I've seen it. I've seen proof of it. It's the state, because they show a map of America with the states taken out, if you know what I mean. You can't see that, but I can. And they couldn't pick it out. They couldn't pick out where they lived. They couldn't pick out the state where they lived. They lived in, one of them was asked, where's the state that you live in? And he didn't know. And he said, well, just have a guess. And he pointed his finger, just went like that. California. They just haven't a clue. Let's see what he's been saying. A debt. A debt. Bit of a you the other night because I was doing the First World War and the poets. And I thought you might have been there because I had a lot on Verdun. I didn't mention Verdun, in all honesty. But I had to do it in passing because of you weren't there, unfortunately. So anyway, what does she say? I'm sorry, I'll have to change my glasses. Don't like these glasses, Right. Bonsoir, Monsieur Frankenchat. Isn't this government a total disgrace, full of incompetent idiots from two-tier care to Rachel from accounts to Calamity Lammy? He's a divvy, him, that Lammy. They are shameless in their actions and we suffer, yes. Of course we do. Of course we do, Odette. And we have a justice system, broken sex offenders roaming our streets and having to pay to get out of the country. It is sickening. Just like Andy Mountbatten should be forced to stand before Congress. He won't. He won't. And Trump will make sure of that. Trump will make sure of that, Odette. Sorry for the third. No, don't be sorry for anything, Odette. Don't be sorry for anything. Sorry for the third message, but I'm so angry with that von der Leyen. No, it's von der Leyen. Makes my blood boil. I see she is telling Britain they have to start paying into EU budget. Excuse-moi. Excuse-moi. But you say, take the piss. They're not in the EU. They're outside. But then again, as you mentioned before about this country, it's in a deep recession. And she wants taxes. She wants to tax everybody. Not only does she want to tax everybody, but then again, Starmer is given every year £5 billion to Zelensky. Why? Ukraine, a Nazi regime, and people don't understand that. They're a Nazi regime. And people say, oh, how are they? I'll show you. I'll show you, my good people, when I can find it. That's a parade they had. They're Ukrainian soldiers that are fighting. Well, they've just been hammered by in Provosk. Nazi soldiers, them, they're the Azovs. Massive parade, look. Can you see the flag? The banners? They've got the swastika on. See? Just about see it there. Yeah, there. It's the light, really. There it is. There it is, the Nazi, look. The Nazi symbol. The Banderites. The Banderites. And people still say that it was Russian aggression. I've tried to explain about the coup d'etat 2014, overthrowing a legitimate government led by Victoria Nuland, the American Russophobe who just hates Russia and Russian people and Russian everything, culture, the old kit and caboodle. Because their parents were thrown out of the Soviet Union. Manhandled, get out. She hates them for that. Yusuf. So that's a good one, that, Odette. Von der Leyen, her name is. And if you notice, she brought 2 women into the EU as chief diplomats. One, Maria Callas, a failed politician from Estonia, hates the Russians. And also Annalena Baerbock, another failed politician in Germany. And even von der Leyen, she was a failed politician. In fact, the Germans know that she was the worst defense minister in the history of Germany. And she's unelected. She's unelected. Who elected her? She's an unelected bureaucrat. And she brought these people in. You've got Merz, the Chancellor. Germany's going under. Porsche's going to America. And he's given billions to Ukraine. And they're saying, what for? Yusuf, big up, Frank, the greatest politician of all time. Who's the greatest? Do you know what? Johan. Hey, Johan. Must be 1:30 there in India. Johan's over in India. Sweltering heat. Johan, I said last night I was looking at the pictures today that you sent through the email. Thank you. Fantastic architecture. Fantastic. You wouldn't think that of India, would you? Well, I know about Mumbai, Bombay, going back, during colonial times. I don't like colonialism, never have done, never will do. But, some of the buildings that were built, fantastic. Fantastic. As you know. And those pictures that I've seen, with their own dynamic lines and everything. Proper Indian. Love it. And I've said this before, Johan. I've got a lovely friend, her and her husband, and they go to India every year and help the poor. Help the poor. And she also goes to China. Doesn't help the poor over there, but she goes over because she loves China. She loves the Chinese people. And if you ever look, well, you've looked, I suppose, and to everyone on here, just stream China and their development, absolutely amazing. Their technology, absolutely amazing. There was one where a fellow, he parks on the road, he just parks up. But there was a terrible traffic jam. And all of a sudden, these wings come out. Wings out of the car. And one goes up, and it just takes off. And he's away. A car. Now, don't forget, when I do the history of literature, and we talk about the likes of Jules Verne, the likes of H.G. Wells, and I'm talking about those two specifically, because they had visions of these things going up, flying in the sky. Metropole, do you ever remember the Metropolis? The film made in, I think, 1924 or something, and they're incredible. They're science fiction, what they had flying in the sky. And yet it's happened in China. Incredible. Good evening, Frank and Legends, says Johan. Hope everyone is well. Yes, Johan, thank you. And the lovely Odette, pardon. I watched your video yesterday. She's telling me off. Pardon. I watched your video yesterday. I was, oh no. Oh, don't say that. I hope you're okay now. Feeling better today. I enjoyed it nevertheless. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's it. It didn't mean anything by it. Just say it was a matter that we missed you, really. It's a matter that we missed you, Odette. Nothing less. No more, nothing less. And Johan says, my mates say Maria Mercado looks like she's Heath Ledger's Joker from... Oh, it was as he said that as well. Was it Bowman, you know, the Irish journalist. Oh, was it him or someone else? I'll tell you who it was. It was that Alex Kranis, is it? The economist from Greece. He said she looks like something out of Batman. So everyone got onto the joke and they were putting all these memes up. Fantastic. But she's a Mossad, believe it or not. Like Mealy in Argentina. You know, he's a Jewish fellow. And you wouldn't think that Argentina, which South America, which is predominantly Catholic, and he's a Jew. You can't make these things up. You just can't make these things up. Yo, man. Something out of there, yeah. Just put a little joker's face on it. Do you think the EU budget money is to fund Ukraine? Money needed to pay for weapons. Trump is supplying NATO. There is much going on. We never find out what is going on behind closed doors. I've been saying it for ages on this, Odette, about where the money's going. Look, Ukraine, you've got to understand that Ukraine, where that money's going, it's a washing machine. And that's where the money's being laundered. It's being even the Poles now have come out and said it. The Poles. And they're starting to have a go at Zelensky. Because I mentioned, I think the other night, I forgot about the Poles as well when I mentioned about Bandera having all these people shot, executed. 400,000 Jews besides thousands of the likes of Romanies, Soviets, Russians, disabled, anyone, and Poles, because the Poles have never forgotten. That's why once Ukraine collapses, you'll get the likes of Poland going into around the Lviv area and taking that land, because that was Poland. That was Poland. That belongs to Poland. And the same as Romania, they want a big chunk of Ukraine because that was Romanian. So there's a hell of a lot to go on once this war's over. Once the war's over, there's going to be an aftermath. But getting back to von der Leyen, she wants, I'll tell you what she wants. She wants a massive budget for a European army. Now, you might think, well, that doesn't sound a bad idea. You know, for security. It's a bad idea, and I'll tell you for why, what their plans are. And all these cronies around von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas. That European army, it'll be more like NATO. What NATO is. Now, NATO is America. NATO is America. So with the European army, they'll be the way the EU dominates everything today and telling the European leaders what to do, what not to do. And if you don't behave yourself, we'll sanction you. Just like Orbán. Orbán's work, his country, Hungary, they're owed millions in euro off the EU. And they say, you're not getting it until you comply to our rules. So where's the democracy for a sovereign state like Hungary, now the Czech Republic, and also Slovakia? Where was the democracy when she cancelled elections in Romania? She cancelled them because Georgescu, a fellow named Georgescu, he was like Oban. He said, listen, I'm not interested in Ukraine. Ukraine means nothing to us. I want to look after our people, not Ukrainians. Who are these people? And because of that, she cancelled the election because he was going to win. And a massive majority. Massive. And she cancelled it. It's that democracy, cancelling a sovereign state's election because she didn't like the candidate who was going to win. So that was it. And he got arrested, by the way. He got arrested. What for? Then you've got to ask yourself about Simone. And he was the same as Oban and Georgescu and Fico and this Budin fella, the Czech Republic. And he just said, listen, you know, we've got to look after our people in Romania, never mind Ukraine. And he was about to win it, hands down. Yet, someone came out with a stat, and for him to get beat, the whole of Europe, well, 5 countries, they said, of Europe, would have to vote him in. 5 countries. So there was no chance of him getting in, this fella. But he got in. So you can see the corruption there. It was impossible for Simone to get beat. There you go. So you see, the EU budget money, as you mentioned there, is to form an army. Because as I mentioned about those countries that are totally against what the EU are doing and backing Ukraine, it's just money. It's being laundered. It's going back to them. Von der Leyen's making a fortune. So is Carlyle. So is all the Americans. They're making loads of money. Lots of it. Because it's a laundry. It's the biggest washing machine on the planet. So there you have it. And this army that she wants to form, it won't be like, oh, we'll sanction you. She'll send the army in to these sovereign states. She wants control of the whole of Europe. And if you think about it, and if you go back to the Second World War, that's what Germany did. They controlled Europe when they went in. When they went in. Say like France, for example. Went into France and that's what she wants. And you've only got to look at her background, Kaja Kallas's background, and Annalena Baerbock's background, Mertz's background. And you've only got to look at her MI6 leader. Their granddad was known as the butcher of Ukraine. He was going around slaughtering people. They're all, well, put it this way, you know, they're all extreme right. And I'm talking nationalists. And where does nationalists, what do they symbolize? Hey, what do they symbolize? Tell you what they symbolize. I'll tell you what they symbolize. That's what they symbolize. Every one of them. They've always, their ideology is never broken. It's never broken. And that's why Russia wanted to go in and denazify. Bella. Buonasera, Franco, Aladette, and Johan, Youssef. Hope you're all as well. Yes. Grazie, Bella. Buonasera. Buonasera, Bella d'Italia, says Youssef. And Johan, as the proper gentleman, says, good evening, Bella. Love yous. I'm sick of the clowns running France, says Odette. They gave Sarkozy jail time, but Macron and his cronies are up to their necks in it. Odette, if you're still with it, would you like to see Marie Le Pen in? Marie Le Pen. Macron is what you call a flip-flopper. He's an idiot. It's 12:45 now. See you on. 12:40. I hope you've got that air conditioning on, or that big fan on the ceiling going around a million times a minute to keep you cool. Bella says, rearrest the Algerian sex offender mistakenly released from the UK prison. It makes my blood boil. I don't like these sex offenders. I don't like anything like that. I really don't. Sex offences is shocking. You know, against women, the female, and that's all it's against, isn't it, really? It's shocking. And as you know, you've got grooming gangs. But unfortunately, you do have some people who say, well, there's white grooming gangs as well. So they're trying to say, well, you know, but it's not the point. The point is, some of these grooming gangs are illegal. Imagine me, if I was a sex offender or even a serial killer, and I go over to any European country and start killing or sex offending out, they'd be up in arms. They'd be up in arms. So people have a right to express their, not opinion, but disgust. That's what it is. It's disgust. People are expressing their disgust at these people. Lovely Lynn. Evening, Frank. Evening, Lynn. Ali Danus, our Romanian friend. Good evening. Good evening, Ali. And Bella says over 1,100 migrants came into the country over the last 2 days. How much more can we take? Everybody, we've been saying it for, I'm being honest, Bella, they've been saying it for a very long time now. You've only got to look at, I've said this many, many, many times, as you know. America, this has been a plan since 1999. even before then, to be honest. But they wanted to go in and destabilize the Middle East so that there'd be a movement of migrants. Excuse me there. So that they go into Europe to destabilize Europe, and that's what's happening. Europe is, I think it's destabilized. I was going to say destabilizing, but it's destabilized. And this is where all the and it's right through Europe. Oban, he knew all about this. And he said, there's no way they're getting in this country. And if you'd ever, I remember a couple of years ago, it was, no, 5 years ago, I was watching something on Hungary, and they were putting up a massive fence, barbed wire. But it was that barbed wire that, you've only got to go like that and cut you. They have in prisons, especially in America, these wired things. So he's got that all up. And he said, no one's getting in here. Because he knew that his country could easily be destabilized. I'll give you an example of Sweden. There's lots of that going on in Denmark as well. Austria is sick of it. I've been through Austria. Beautiful, absolutely immense Austria. Beautiful, beautiful country. Toscana, buonasera, Franco and chat is under that. Andy Mountbatten should be in prison. What an arrogant piece of work. And we also have politicians importing anything for votes. Absolutely, Toscana, absolutely. So right. And Ali says, so Franco, you saw who is the new mayor in New York. He is a Muslim, but the big guys are behind him. You remember what I told you 2 weeks ago with the mass migration? In my opinion, they are behind everything. Look, the New Yorkers, and especially these young people who were behind Charlie Kirk, it's not a message, to like put this fella in, Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani. It's not a matter of just putting him in. It's a vote against Trump. You promised us everything. You promised us peace. But all you're doing is causing wars. It was a massive demonstration. So that's why he got voted in. And it was right through. They've got midterms coming up. And they're going to be hammered by the Democrats. Now, you might think, oh, well, that's good. No, it's not good, because the Democrats, they started, believe this, you might think Russia, going into Ukraine started it all. No, it wasn't. It was the Democrats. And when you look at von der Leyen, as Adette mentioned before, they were getting lots, Europe was getting lots of cheap energy from Russia. Lots of it. And people, ordinary people were happy with that because their, bills, the energy bills were, quite nice. But now with the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up and von der Leyen saying we don't want any more Russian energy, it's sky high. And this is what it's all about. People just think that it's a war going on, with bombs and everything else and shells. There's an economic war going on. And people are getting fed up with it. You've only got to go to the... I have to do shopping for myself. And I can even see the prices. Wow. Looking at a thing, and I go, wow. It's crazy. Even I see it. As a fella, looking at the prices. And that's what's going on. That's it. Isn't it ironic that Europeans invaded so many Asian countries to exploit their natural resources? Yes. That's why I don't like colonialism or anything like that. But look now, so many of these same countries are now putting us to shame. Good shout. Look, I'm a historian, and when you start studying these things, and I'm going back years ago now, not just now, and what colonialism meant, as you said about stealing the resources, and it's happening today. This is why Trump wanted to go into Venezuela. This is why, Netanyahu, he wants regime change in Iran because they want to get all the oil. Israel is absolutely bankrupt. And it's only Americans who are bailing them out all the time. So if there is a regime change in Iran, they'll steal all the resources and make Israel rich again. But that's why they want the biggest oil deposits in Venezuela. That's why, as I said about this Mossad stooge of a woman, Machado, whatever her name is, Maria Karina, just a puppet. And it'll benefit Israel if she became president in a coup. And it will be a coup d'etat. It's against the law. It's against the law, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's against the law. I'm talking about whale law. The United Nations. It's against their law, but the Americans just say, well, they're going to do what we want. And Israel the same. We'll just do what we want. Who's going to stop us? We'll see it, but I don't think... I think I've entered the stream. No, I haven't. No. Am I still on? Let me know if I'm still on. Because I pressed the wrong button there. Because you never seen a thing that come up and I went to press it to go off and Press end stream. I hope I've cancelled it. Let me know, please. I'll just say, I'll just go down anyway. And Bella says the primary cause of public unhappiness in Britain is the ongoing cost of living crisis. Absolutely. With people feeling worn down by personal financial pressures. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And a debt. Look at Venezuela, for example. They have General Rafael Ordonez Bridge. Urdaneta Bridge across Lake Maracaibo. And the Angostura Bridge across the Orinoco River. Oh, blimey. The UK wastes billions on embarrassing, Excuse me. This bloody itch has started again. Shocking. Shocking what I fucking go through. Yeah, the big train. And I wasn't going to come to Liverpool. What about us? How are we getting any of that? I know you can get the train up to Manchester. Fuck off. We'll get up to Manchester. Okay. But that wasted billions. And I said then, even going back then, when they was talking about this massive thing going all around, I said, it's a big con merchant. It's a big con. It's a scam. It's a money laundering scam, if anyone knew me then. But you didn't know me then. And I said it. It was a big scam. So you're right there, Azeta, with all these wonderful bridges and everything else being, it's the infrastructure of Venezuela. And don't forget, they've been sanctioned to death by America. This is why, they hold the dollar. But right now, I know it's a bit of a slow process, but it's the de-dollarization. This is why Trump, when he first got in, if anyone can remember, and he had, he said, I'm talking to Putin. Now, Obama, it used to be the G8, and Obama got shut of the other fella, Putin. He got shut of. I'll tell you for why. Crimea, they wanted to join the Russian Federation. They didn't like Ukraine. They just didn't want it. So what Putin did, to legitimize it, everything above board, he even brought in European observers and whatever, that they had a referendum to see if the Crimea wanted to join the Russian Federation. And they said, yeah, overwhelmingly, they said yes. So it became part of the Russian Federation, Crimea. And so Obama went, well, you're out now. So it became the G7. You see? It became the G7. And when Trump first got in, and he said he had a phone call with Putin, I even said at the time, well, that's good, because Biden, the administration of Biden, they didn't want no communication at all with them, with the Russians, with Putin, with Lavrov, with any of them, Peskov, Medvedev. No communication whatsoever. So I was made up when Trump said, yeah, I'm going to talk to this man. I want to do business with him. I want trade with him. Like back in the old days. And he said, will you join the G7 and make it the G8 again? Putin said, no. We've got our own now. We've got BRICS. And BRICS is making it a multipolar world. So that, in the future, where you have, excuse me about this, I just got it. Where you see in the future that there won't be any sanctions by America because they can't do it. The dollar won't, it'll exist, but they won't have the power that they've got today. So there'll be no more sanctions on anybody, on any sovereign state. So they won't have the leverage of anything. That's why it'll become a multipolar world. Economically, Ali, the news. Romania have a part in Ukraine as well. But in 1945, they shared many countries. USSR took that part. Now in Ukraine, also our Snake Island, nobody even talk about it besides Putin. Yep. Yeah. Well, I mentioned it before. I never mentioned Snake Island, but I knew that it belonged to Romania. But that's why I says once the all collapse, for it to collapse, the whole of Ukraine, Putin has to take, the Russians have to take, not Putin, has to take Odessa and then Kiev. That's it, then it's finished, it's over. And that's when the likes of the Poles and the Romanians will go in and take part. What was Romania and what was Poland. Good shout, by the way, Ali. And Johan to a debt. My Indian friend said something similar a few days ago. Isn't it funny they are holding anti-immigrant protests in London, the seat of the crown that rules half of the world? Yeah. Excellent comments tonight, boys and girls. Excellent. You're on form. My nephew rang me up and he said, I might be down later on, to deliver me something. No, it's okay. So, just in case if he calls, I wouldn't be a minute. I'd have to let him in. And, well, them in, two nephews. And Bella, the state of the NA. And dissatisfaction with the government and political system. It's horrible about our NHS. It really is. And I have mentioned this a couple of times. I always remember this lady consultant. I was just watching the news. And I'm going back before, stop watching the news over this SMO. Special military operation by the Russians in Ukraine. Stop watching it then, simply because of the propaganda and the lies and disinformation, everything that was against Russia. And this lady came on and she said she was a lady consultant, and she said privatization isn't coming through the back door anymore. It's coming through the front door as we speak. That's what she said. And it is. It is. And it's shocking. Blimey, where am I? Blimey, is it not half gone right through? And the debt to Sky. I normally don't watch BBC, but I watched Panorama this week about the Andy scandal. It was sickening. He will never get justice in this life, but he will rot in hell for his actions. It's all sex, isn't it? I watched something, to delete it, I'm not quite so sure. And it was about the early Hollywood. And it was shocking. And it manifested into, as it went on, and Natalie Wood, a young girl, 14, 15, something like that, went up to see a major film star at the time. And came back dishevelled. And she said to her sister, he hurt me. He hurt me. So you know what I mean, when she was dishevelled and whatever. And that man was Kirk Douglas in a room. He hurt me because her mother brought her there, and he said, I'll just see Natalie on her own, because she wanted to get a daughter into films. And she went there, and she sat in the car. An hour or so later, she came down. She said nothing to her mother, but she did to her sister as soon as she got it. And it's in, I always forget her sister's first name. Also an actress. And she wrote an autobiography. And she said what? And what has happened in that room with Kirk Douglas. Horrible bastard then, though, by the way. Fucking horrible. Kirk Douglas. Read a lot about him. When I say to Toscana, I say Bella. And to Bella, she says, ciao. Oh, yeah, I'm gone. You're talking privately there. I understand, though, the media does try and throw legitimate protests into the mix and blacken them. People in northern France are going through the same issues, but police turn the other way. Of course they are. Of course they are. This is why the destabilization is complete, with more and more coming in. And they're not going to stop it, and that's what America wanted. They wanted all the big businesses of Europe. And Bella to Toscana, it makes my blood boil. Went into the city centre in Liverpool to meet my son. I met him. Two men came over to me and asked me for money. I was so scared because they wouldn't move. Fuck. Toscana to a death. Interviews with the author Andrew Lowney are an eye-opener. And he's a royal, but he wants transparency. You'll want rid of them after you hear what they get away with. No. She is not anyone who should be near the palace de Versailles. French politics going through what Italy had for years, no stability. In the UK, are likely form. I see no other option in the UK. See, when you look at the likes of Marine Le Pen and what she stands for, she wants to get rid of it's only, like you mentioned reform, and they're going on about all the illegals, but so does Marie Le Pen. So she's like this Farage fella. Believe me, she can't stand it. And what's going on? I remember a friend, I was filming down in the town, and a friend of mine came to see me. I didn't know that he was coming to see me. But anyway, we stopped, we just broke for a while. And and he said, I've just got back from Paris, He said, and we were coming out the hotel. He said, and there was hundreds of these people. He said, and he just put little carpets down, and we couldn't move for an hour. And we had to be at a certain place to be picked up to go on a tour to Versailles, the Palais de Versailles. And it was shocking. He said it was filthy. And he looked over. This was by the Albert Dock, where I was filming. And we looked over at the Strand, Liverpool. And he said, you see how pristine that is? He said, you want to see Paris? It's shocking. Because he loved Paris, you see. Paris. Ali, I remember when Bibi said last year that they want to expand Israel all over the Middle East. I wish Jason was there. He'd put something up for me, but I'll have to show you it on here. Please, just wait a minute. I wonder if we can do that way. There you go. The Greater Israel. They're in Egypt, they're in Syria, they're in Iraq. They're right down. And that's why they want Iran. And that's the Greater Israel. That's their aim. That's their goal. That's their goal, Ali. Every time I do this, I can't get it back. Yeah, so it's incredible what he wants. Ali. Yeah, 100% agree. They use him to hit Trump. Yep. They're the... Of course, there's white grooming gangs, and they should be prosecuted. But they do. the Muslim gangs were covered up, yes, with the police admitting they were scared of being called racist. I know 2 people who have suffered. Blimey. I get myself into trouble, so I can't say too much. And Tuscana Mamdani is a fake. Look at it to his history. Rest in peace, New York. But then again, as I said, they used him. They didn't want Andrew Cuomo in because they were making a demonstration against Trump. It's like Ali Khan, isn't it? Down in London, the mayor of London, people hate him. And they're saying he's destroying London. Can't you know? See, no matter what you say, you'll be called a racist. You'll be called a racist. So you can't say the truth. That's all it is, the truth. It's not opinions, it's what you see. And, put it this way. If you see a brick wall and you say to people, I seen a brick wall. How do you know you seen a brick wall? Well, I've seen the bricks, with the cement and, the mortar. And they'll turn around and say, no, you didn't see a brick wall. You seen a plastered wall. No, it was brick. No, it was plastered. They're telling you see, what you're supposed to say and what you can't say. That's the only analogy I can get. I seen a tree today with loads of leaves. No, you didn't. You didn't see a tree with loads of leaves. You see a bare tree with no leaves. It's getting told what to say and what to see, not what you see in reality. And that Schumer, not a great fan of this New York mayor. I see he's horrible, that Schumer. He's horrible. I see the Dems, like Labour, at the minute, splits occurring and a new wave coming through. Pelosi's last act to gerrymander districts for New Year elections. She said she's retiring. She made millions out of inside trading, her and her husband. And remember what her husband was it last year? And he was nearly beaten to death with a hammer by this fella. And that's all been hushed up, hasn't it? Because he was what we call a rent boy in this country. And it's funny how it's all hushed up. I'll have to go right down. Still on? Yeah, it's okay, Franco, says Alan. Toscana. Yeah, you're still on, Franco. Sorry. I'll try and get through this. The EU is a fraud, yes. A huge fraud, yes. In Romania, 55% of the workers are earning €500 per month. prices are like in the UK. We're the biggest electricity bill in the EU. Well, I think it's here, you know. I understand what you're saying, Ali, but it's here. It's been proved that we've got the biggest energy bills. And they force us to pay Ukraine. Exactly. This is why the likes of I mentioned Marie Le Pen. She said, "Fuck Ukraine." The likes of Viktor Orban, the likes of Fico, and the new fella of the Czech Republic. Yeah, fuck them. Ukraine, but they want to look after our own people. And you've only got to look at what von der Leyen, she doesn't mention, does she, about the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up that gave all cheap energy to Europe. You've all, there's an economic war going on, and this is why the Americans want to destabilize the Middle East and it's proved it. That's how they blew up the Nord Stream. How do you know he blew it up? Well, that Sikorsky, the Polish, I forget what role he is. I don't know whether he's defense or I'm not quite so sure. And what does he say? Within a minute of that blowing up, thank you, USA. And Liz Truss was the Prime Minister, and she said that she picked the phone up and went, "It's done." Right away. And then they started blaming the Russians. They said nothing, they just said, "I'll let them fucking think." But we knew. We knew. And it's that Venezuela, I think, still has the biggest oil. It has. It has. Am I right to say that Romelu Betancourt was the father of democracy who built a lot of their infrastructure? Well, that infrastructure is coming down, isn't it? Through sanctions. Through sanctions, Adet. And Toscana to Adet. Maloney in Italy will get my vote again. The other lot ruins Italy. Well, Georgia can't see. I'll give you an example here, Toscana, and please believe it, please. Please believe it. When the likes of Garibaldi and Mazzini, Giuseppe Mazzini, shown up the boot of Italy, united everybody, except San Marino, San Marino, it's got its own principality, but that was, they decided to do that for tourism, believe it or not. So by the time of the First World War came along, the Allies said, "Listen, will you come in with us?" They said, "We can't afford it. We've got nothing. Please, we've got nothing." And they said, "Listen, come in. You'll be all right. We'll compensate you." And they said, "We've got nothing." So anyway, they were persuaded with the help after the war of compensation. They got nothing. That's how our family came over. My mother's family. So it's the same now in Italy. Because Italy, look, they as you said, the other lot ruins Italy. So they're just trying to get on their feet. Italy, they're trying to get on their feet. But I don't like saying this. We called everything racist and everything. You had all the boat people getting to Lampedusa. And the Lampedusians, which is Italy, the island of Italy, and they say, we can't handle this. But they just got to Lampedusa because it was near, and that's just where the Italian Navy was bringing them in and just dropping them off there. Then they were getting into mainland Italy. And everybody was still going mad today. People who I know anyway. And it's destabilising it. And Maloney was warned, if you go against the likes of Ukraine, she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to know anything about Ukraine. I do know that. But she can't do anything. She can't say anything because she'll be fucking sanctioned. Just like Obama. And the money will stop going into it. The money that they richly deserve. Because they're in the fucking EU. They've been paying the dues. Dues. D-U-E-S. Jews. Not the, not the Israeli lot. See, you could easily get into trouble. You know what Frank Trump said, India stopped buying? Yes. They actually stopped buying Russian oil. In dollar reserves, they trade in rupees to rubles now. Yeah, but they also trade with the yuan. Chinese. That was brilliant, though. You've got to give it to Modi. And Modi wouldn't go to a meeting last week with Trump there. He said, no, I'm not going there. He's telling us what to do. You having a laugh? But that's brilliant, that, Johan. Thanks for that. And to Toscana from a debt. I'm sick. I know. I'm a bit... Thank God. Sorry, I'm a bit lack of knowledge on Italian politics. Other than... Up to recently, they generally had governments which collapsed within 6 to 12 months, like that Draghi, of elections until Maloney came to power. Yes. Georgia. And Toscana to it. I know Maloney detests Macron. She's made that very... I've seen a picture of her. And you see Macron, in the foreground. And you see Georgia Maloney in the background. And she's like this, honestly. He's talking to someone, with a smile. And you see her in the background, like... comical. She just doesn't like him. And the debt to Toscana. What do you like about Maloney? I like Orban, yes. Because he does what is in Hungary's interest. If it doesn't help, just ignore von der Leyen and their cronies. Need more leaders like Victor, yes. And Fico. You've got to look at the Slovakian Prime Minister or President, whatever he is. And he's the same as Viktor Orban, but so is this Czech Republic fella. So you're getting a movement now. You're getting a movement. But what they're trying to do, they're trying to say, with the demands of Zelensky, I want to be in NATO. Well, the Americans are made up with that because they love Ukraine to be in NATO because they're right on the border then with Russia. Right on the border. But it's not really soft lad Zelensky who's saying it. It's the Americans and the Azovs. It's the Azovs. They're telling it. They're giving him a script. But that script's coming from America to the Azovs, to Zelensky, who's a complete and utter. He is a comedian. Comedian. Great comment that. Lana Wood, that's it. Toscana mentioned it on a film show a few weeks ago. Lana Wood, thank you. And what she said about Burke, Burke Douglas, that is. I call him Burke because he is a fucking Burke. Fucking hell. Fucking. I agree with you about Orban. He puts Hungary first, and that's what Maloney does. But she is reluctant. She can't do anything really. She just put Italy first, but she's going along with everything because she's terrified of fucking sanctions of this. Even Trump would sanction her because of Ukraine. I'm telling you now. That's who giving the orders to von der Leyen. That's why she wants her own army. And she'd be in it for fucking, forevermore. She'll never get it, like. Franco, I won't watch any Kirk Douglas films. He was a disgrace of a human being, and I hope he suffered in his old age. I don't like his son, Michael Douglas, either. He was a sex addict, Did you know that? Michael Douglas. Thinks about bloody sex, isn't it? He was a sex addict. His wife, his first wife, Deandra, said that. She said he can't keep his eyes or hands off the female, other females. That's what she said. That was years ago as well, and he was married to her. No, I've never liked, I just don't like his face either. And Toscana to her death. I watch Italian TV and I've seen Maloney put von der Leyen in her place, telling her she will put Italy first, and has even said she'll pull them out of the EU. But why doesn't she? I think, look, have I even said about Viktor Orban, Fico, this new fella now from the Czech Republic? And don't forget, it's the ordinary people of these countries are fed up with what's happening in Europe and in Ukraine. Sorry about this. Like, I'm fed up with Starmer giving £5 billion every year, while we have in this country 5.5 million now kids below the poverty line. That was eradicate the poverty, that 5 billion, and a lot left over. but he's giving it to Ukraine. What the fuck for? He fucking had them marching in the May Day parade, victory parade. What the fuck did they? They were fucking killing people. They were fucking killing people, and they had them marching with our lads. Fucking Ukrainian army. Fuck off. Really gets fucking mad. See, you know, when you said that, Toscana, she should just pull out and join BRICS. Why doesn't she do that? That's it. Le Pen is extreme. She is popular as she has adapted her political views to make her more palatable. Why is Farage popular? Maybe he says things people want to hear. Labour have lost the working class. So is the, no, you're so right. You're so right at that. And that's why people are just looking at Farage and they're saying, what else can we do? Because, you know, everything has gone pear-shaped with the main parties. The main parties. And he's just come up and went like that, I'm going to get rid of all these. This is why Trump was voted in. He said, I'm going to get rid of all the illegals. I'm going to round them all up and get them out because they're all murderers, they're all sex offenders, they're all this, they're all that. He said, I'm going to do it. He says, and I'm going to bring peace in the world. No more wars. I'm going to bring peace to Ukraine. And I always remember again, I don't know whatever happened to him, Myra Page. And she said, Frank, do you think that he will stop? I'm going back to when he was coming in, Trump. And I said, and everybody, I believed him. I believed him. And like everybody else, you know, and I'm talking about people who I follow today, they believed him. And I said, well, he can't stop it like tomorrow. I said, but the only thing that he can do, and, you know, if anyone was listening to me on the day I said this, or the evening I said this, I said, all he got to do is go like that, right to NATO. Stop it. Because they are in Ukraine. You know, people think that they're fighting the Ukrainians. There's no fucking Ukrainians left to fight. They're fighting NATO in Ukrainian uniforms. They've captured a load of them. Captured a load of British and French. The Russians. And, you know, you're getting the propaganda, fully enough. I'll get back to what I was saying in a moment. You know, you're getting the propaganda. I remember the Giordano who I follow, and I'm going back months ago. And they said, what will happen is, once Provosk is, you know, is gone, it gets captured. It'll be, it wasn't a strategic place anyway. And it is, it's very strategic. For supplies, for everything. And that's then near the end of the conflict, once it goes. But they're fighting they're fighting NATO. And that's when Trump said, I'm going to stop it all. And I said, all you got to do is just say to NATO, stop it now. Say to the European Union, you better behave yourselves. I'm pulling out everything. No more arms, no more satellite things, data for Ukraine. And he's getting no more money. They're getting no more money. That's all he had to say. And that would have been it. It would have been over within a matter of weeks. It really would have been over. That would have been the end. But he didn't. Carried on with it. Remember when he used to say, "This is Biden's war, not my war." Well, that was whitewashed now. It's his war. And he's proved it. So you're right there, Adet. Why is Farage popular? Maybe he says things people want to hear. Yeah, absolutely. And he does, because all it is, it's about the illegals coming in. Get rid of them. Any sex offenders, deport them, jail them, then deport them. Look at that, lads. He's also told me this, because I don't follow any of this fucking crap news. I really don't. And she said about an Afghan getting here, getting political asylum, because he's saying, "I'm scared. I've been thrown out. I've had to plead for my life in Afghanistan. And I've got here. Please give me asylum." Yes, okay. And fucking goes back and spends 6 weeks on holiday there. How did he get the money? How did he get? It's ridiculous. It's so fucking scammy. My daughter told me that. Now that Pelosi is retired from Congress, can she go back to her real job trading stocks and shares? You wonder. Inside trading, she's made millions and nothing was done about it. Nothing. And look at that fella who's just died. Dick Cheney. One horrible man. War criminal, him and W. Bush. But every one of them, all these POTUS, they're all fucking war criminals. They've all got blood on their hands. Farage and Reform are able to tap into what working people see and think. The established parties just toss them, yes, aside to feather their nest, yes, and they say to themselves, "Who else can we vote for?" You're right, because there's that Moan one, MOAN, Moan, and she won't pay like 116 million or something, or 130 million back what she scammed during the PPE. She said she set up this business, for all these mask things and whatever, and overalls and gloves and that. Nothing. Fuck all. Nothing. Think about that. Do you know where the money is, by the way? Do you know where the money is, the Zosh? It's in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands. Where the fucking is? What Matt Hancock gave her. And she will not pay it back. How does that work? How does that work? Tell me, please. Does anyone know? Excuse me. That's good, that is that. And they don't. They can't turn to anyone. That's it. I've been voting since I was 18 years of age. Last year, the last election, I didn't vote for the first time because there was no one to vote for. Who can I vote for? They're all bang at it, as I say. Every one of them. I agree with what you're saying, Franco, re New York, but it'll turn into London Mark II. We cannot keep quiet, or this country, it's destroyed now. Toscana, it really is. Ali the Noose, I believe they want to destroy Europe. They put their people there. Ursula, Macron, Merz, Callas, Starmer, Zelensky, and some others. They look to destroy the EU economy and white race to mix it, in my opinion. You mean America? Of course, they've fucking mentioned it. I've always mentioned it. They went out to destroy, destabilise the Middle East so that all the movement had come right into Europe and bang, destabilise Europe. And they've succeeded. What can you do? Toscana. Once Labour get voted out, they are finished. They brought, yeah, of course they are. Toscana, of course they brought it on themselves. Look, you know, I've always gone on for years now about the deep state in America, and they rule the world. Look at that Soros, fucking horrible him, and he's been working for years, believe it or not, in Ukraine to get them where they are today, or to take over, fight Russia, and destroy Russia, get rid of Putin so that they could go in and take all the Russian resources. Backfired greatly, and that's George Soros. Horrible man. Horrible. And he came out and admitted it the other day. He said, yes, I did that. They have brought it on, but you've got to understand that Starmer is a puppet. They're all fucking puppets. Every leader in the EU, they're all puppets for these people, this deep state who run the world. I always remember, I forget how long, about 10 years ago, I was listening to this fella. Who was it? I think it was Obama. And when he decided to go into Libya, and this, I was fucking arguing then, about it, to friends of mine. They never had a fucking clue. And I said, it's fucking wrong, this. And I always remember, I forget what, it was a program on the TV. And this fella said, if you think Obama's making all the decisions, he isn't. He said, it's a pyramid in America. He said, and you've got the top there. He said, and it goes down. The pyramid goes down to the president, who's seventh in that pyramid. So whoever's at the top and it filters down, what he says or she says at the top, it filters down to the president. And he has to do what that fella says or girl at the top. And it says, and that includes wars, covert operations. That's all he said about, covert, but you know what covert operations are? It's regime changes in sovereign countries. Then the next was Ukraine, with the coup d'etat. Toscana, I have to say, tonight's comments are wonderful to read. Don't always have to agree, but I will always look at both sides of the coin. Well done, Frank Owen Chatters. A breath of fresh air. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? I wasn't going to do this anymore, Really, wasn't going to do it. I thought, I was talking to Jason privately during the week, and I said, I'm not fucking doing them no more. I said, I'll get... Because if you remember a couple of weeks ago, where's a little thing, and it was in this corner there. Little note. And I had to stop the stream. Do you ever remember that? I was reading it, there was... Thank you for that, Toscana. That's lovely, that. And Bella says, Toscana, it is a breath of fresh air to hear so many different comments on so many subjects, And we only can do it on this show. Thank you. And Toscana to her death. Read your comments on Farage and reform. Thumbs up. And Johan to Toscana. As you said, we resemble an Italian family. We're passionate and it might look like we're fighting, but we love each other to the core. Yep. Yes. Well said, Johan, says Toscana. I'm the same with my friends who support Man United. Do you know what I need? I need footballer come in for them. When I was went shopping yesterday with Francine, I always get pineapple. I love a little tub of pineapple, And I have it sometimes, after I've had something to eat. Anyway, but they're like big chunky things, and some of them are bitter. So yesterday, I always get mandarins, and they're in a little tub. And Francine said, Dad, they've got pineapples here. I said, have they? She said, yeah. Because I already got a tub of pineapple, as I said. So I said, come on, get me a packet of them. And they're like in little packets, So anyway, I had one before. And I forgot about this. And I had it. And bit Russian and everything, because you have to call me hair, sometimes. I mean, that's Russian. I just put my spoon in my pocket. I just felt it then, spoon for the little pineapple, and they were lovely. Oh, gorgeous, just like me little mandarins. But that's me. And Odette to Toscana. Merci. I have always loved the British political theatre. I love watching that series, The Thick of It. Peter Capaldi, great actor him. And the Capaldis actually came to Liverpool with my family. And they opened gelati parlours here in Liverpool. And it spread. They went to Scotland as well. We still got a Capaldi's here. How about that? Small world, as they say. And Kirk Douglas was a stage name. I think it was Danalovich or something. Nothing to see there. Yes, yeah, it's Danalovich or something mad like that. Horrible, man. Strange, isn't it? I never put a tweet up. I commented on a tweet, and it was about Angelina Jolie, and she's over in Ukraine, and she wants to open up orphanages. Now, Angelina Jolie, she was great as Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. Enjoyed that. Thing is, she's a bit more like Ben Stiller and Sean Penn. Or PR. And it was on the tweet, so I answered this person with a full name, And I said, I wonder if she'll go to Donbass and to the children there and help them. That the Kiev regiment regime was bombing and shelling for years. I just said, I wonder, I said that, And underneath this fella, he went, oh, shut up, bot. So, in no uncertain terms, I told him to fuck off. Buffoon. With his little Ukraine flag. And a debt to Bella. Sorry, what happened to you? A lot of cities going the same way as that. It's a scary what you see on the news. If not illegals, not vetted, we people with serious mental health issues thrown on the streets. Yes, absolutely. And Toscana PD in Italy, Partito Democratico, Democratic Party, is the party who have ruined Italy. The judiciary is full of them, and they go against Maloney. They are more bothered about the illegals than the same here. It's the fucking same here. And again, to a debt, it's easy. Thatcher, who closed a mental health institution, she wanted them to be helped in the community. The other governments have done nothing about it, and now we're all suffering. Powerful, that. Monsieur Frank, the latest scams are some pretending they don't. Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? One of my principals said to me, Frank, was you? I've got what you call a TEFL, teach English as a foreign language. And she said, would you do it? I said, I can't, I'm working. I said, but I said, I tell you when I'm not doing it, when I'm not working. And it was a Tuesday morning. No, it wasn't. It was a Tuesday afternoon and a Thursday morning, because she wanted me to do 2 sessions to do this. So she said, okay, will you do it? I said, yeah. Because she had these, and you know when I'm going back? When was it? Believe it or not, I'm going back to 2006. That's nearly 20 years ago. So I said, okay. So I went in. I don't know whether I've told you this. But anyway, I goes in, introduced myself. They were all sitting there, all these people. And they were ferried in by the coach. Not far, you know, I could see where they lived in these tenements. Tenements, could see where they lived, you know, high-rise block of flats. So anyway, they ferried in, they all came in. And I said, when he introduced myself, and I said, who speaks English or broken English? All hands went up. I said, oh. I said, that's good. And this female, she was Brazilian. And she was stunning. And I mean, stunning. And I thought to myself, is she a plant? Honestly, I said, I don't know if this one's a plant. So anyway, I just went on and on and on. I know. So at the end of the 2-hour session, this girl came up to me. She said, have I offended you? I said, why? What do you mean? You haven't offended me at all. I said, what made you say that? She said, well, you look surprised that you look surprised because he kept looking at me. And I said, no, not at all. I said, you're the only one who speaks English. So I knew that there was something up. And the following week, now, as I said, they were being ferried. This is genuine, this. No, 2 weeks later, they were coming in taxis now. Not the coach, you know, bringing them in. Taxis. Then, first 2 weeks, I was giving out vouchers. And there used to be a supermarket called Quick Save. So they used to go, I could see Quick Save from the window. They used to all go in there and get all the groceries. And I knew that they weren't paying any utilities either. Right? Then the next couple of weeks later, this fella came up to me and said, hey, you know, anything? I said, yeah. And anyway, my principal came down. She said, oh, you know, this is such a body, because he just came right up to me. And because I always went to work with a suit and a tie. So anyway, he just came right up to me and started spluttering things. And He said, I want you to give these out. I said, okay. And what they were gyros. Money on. So I was calling out the names, calling them. Trying to read them, mate. Coming out. Well, don't forget, these never spoke English. And I was doing my best. But I knew something was wrong. Phony. Anywhere. You're not going to believe this. A couple of weeks later, this other fella comes. Now, I'll be getting gyros now, off me. And then there was another fella. And he said, I said, yeah. He said, listen, he said, these are, they weren't gyros. They were like a check. And they were for £1,999. See, in the meantime, these people were getting driving lessons. I didn't know, but driving lessons nevertheless. So everything was pushed forward for them. And there was 8 gyros for these people. There was, I think, 18 something in the class. So, and something's phony here. And I went in, started talking again. No, they're all sitting there like that. Like a little dummies, And there was only this lovely Brazilian girl who could speak English. The next was this. I went, I'm going to fucking have these. And I said, unfortunately, because you can't speak English, I have these here. And these here are for, and what it was for a garage, that sold second-hand cars. And every one was for a second-hand car just below the 2,000 mark. And I said, I can't give these out because it's a lot of money. And unfortunately, no one can speak English. I've been trying and trying and trying, and I've not succeeded. So these, pretend that these will have to go back. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Not my fault. And I was walking out and I was waiting for it, and I fucking knew. One of them went, excuse me, please. And I knew it wasn't the Brazilian girl, because it was a fella's that turned around. And I said, yes. He said, I started talking. And I said, oh, is there anyone else? And they started talking English because they fucking knew their language. It was a load of bollocks. Because what they wanted to do, they wanted to bring in interpreters, which is prevalent today. And they're on a lot of money. I know because I was in the education business profession. And I went to the principal and I said to her, I fucking knew they could speak English. I said, I've had a fucking enough. And I went like that to her. These things. And I went, yeah, you keep them. I said, I'm going. Phony. Scams is unbelievable. Living rent free, not paying any utility bills, getting the groceries, coming in, and now they can fucking come in cars. I wasn't going to sit there. It's nuts, isn't it? And I walked away. So these are the things that happens. And I'm going back, as I said, to 2006. Could have been before as well, I don't know. And that's what you've said. Pretending they don't speak English. Some say they are actually women. Some saying they are gay. And we hear about churches paid to baptize them as Christians. Fucking shocking. Toscana, Francine is right. I saw it on the news. You couldn't make it up. That's that fella going back to Afghanistan for 6 weeks for a holiday. I want to know where he got his money from to go back. That's what I said to Francine. I said, where did he get his money? What did it say? She said, I don't know. Monsieur Frank, the COVID inquiry, how many tens of millions wasted? Yes, Hancock Johnson and those who got peerage. The man who seems to have got away scot-free is that Rishi Sunak. Disgusting. I'm sure he's living in fucking California. I know he's got a home, a big home, or a couple of homes in California. Yeah, it's that Moan one. I can't get over there. She should be in fucking jail here and stripped of her wealth. Evening, Emperor Franco. Up you go. Emperor Franco. The puppeteer doesn't show his face, he pulls the strings. They never publish the real rich in the magazine. Of course they don't. Of course they don't, yo. Good to see you, IBR. And the IBR. Remember when Eisenhower did his parting speech from office, as he pretty much said it himself, he's just a puppet. As I said, that fella, a about the tier system, and the president of the United States is seventh, and it filters down from the top. They're the people in charge of the world, and their allegiance is to another country, and I'm not naming it. You know who that other country is. It's not fucking here. Buonanotte, Franco, and everyone. Fantastic show tonight. Sorry, and a bit. Please take care of yourselves. Sweet dreams. Lovely. Mille grazie, Bella. Ciao. Buonanotte. Lovely. That's lovely, that. I'm very surprised. Not surprised. I shouldn't have said that. I'm quite pleased. Yes, that's the only way. With all the comments tonight, absolutely brilliant. Every one of them. Every one of them. And the lovely Toscana says, I'm glad you mentioned the deep state. My sister-in-law's friend, who is a Marxist, ridiculed me for telling her about Soros. Oh, go away. Go away, did she? She's a Marxist, and she had to go at you talking about Soros. Never. No, I believe you, don't get me wrong. But, I'm just saying, never. Crazy. A Marxist. Okay, now. My little arm's gone. That's mad, that Toscana. Monsieur Frank, it is good to proceed. We have to all be mindful that what we say, all right, otherwise, Big Brother will always have a way to gag or restrict our opinions. Sadly, free speech is dead and buried. That's why I try to give platforms, not only on, not only on this or that, but on history as well, because I'll be doing, which will sue you actually, I'll sue you, but I think you'll be interested in. I'll be doing a Napoleon. Napoleon is one of my great heroes, believe it or not. Because I'm not saying he wasn't misunderstood, It's like one of today's leaders who's being ridiculed by the press every single day. Every single day. A world leader. Every single, I'm not talking about fucking Trump. Not talking about him. Talking about his opposite. And that's the way Napoleon went. I hate propaganda. You cannot read a history book. Honest, you cannot read a history book without, how can I put this? Without without saying anything. It's hard to explain. It really is hard to explain. Because it was a Plato said, I'll have to paraphrase it because I'm a little bit tired. If you know the truth, you're free. If you know the truth, you're free. Think about that. If you know the truth, you're free. Which is absolutely amazing, simply because when we, as people, start to question, we start to question the propaganda, we start to question the lies, because that's what propaganda is, it's lies. It's spin, excuse me. It's spin. That's what it is. It's fucking spin. And I hate it. Sadly, free speech is dead and buried. And that's why we come on here, we try to have a comment, try to get something off our chest. And our chest tonight has been brilliant. But on that day, take care, says the Tuscana to the lovely Bella. The red bird saws I'm late, Frank. Better late than never, eh? Yes, red bird. Because you've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I've got to go to bed. I've got to be up at 5. That was last night. YOLO to the red bird. And the red bird says Birmingham was on fire. Those of you cannot name were after the poor Jewish fans who wanted to watch their team play Villa. Most of our major cities have been taken over. And yes, because it's while our Jewish brethren are playing a football game, there are people being murdered. If you know what I mean. Slaughtered. Little babies. Little children. Innocent people. Parents. Grandparents, aunties, uncles, cousins. While they're playing a fucking game of football. Oh, fuck. I told you about the guy from Discovery Channel, Charlie Otley. He is now officially a Romanian. Oh, go away. He said that Romania is the best country in Europe. Wait for you, Franco. And it was the Romans who gave you your name. Romania. Hello, you little devil, see that bit. Ali, I would emigrate to Hungary if I could, says that bit. That's it. I hope I don't come. No, you stop it. Behave yourself. Me love you, Dad. You don't come across terrible at all. Stop saying things like that. I'm a French patriot. I'm an Italian patriot. but firmly believe if you come to another country, you come and work, live the right way and harmonise into a wider society. Am I right or am I wrong? Of course you're right. Of course you're right. Sweetheart. Look at me. Fucking hell. I wanted to live in Italy. I had a job, 2 jobs I had. One at the Lord Byron College in Rome, well, university it was, and one in Messina, Sicilia. And because I was married at the time, I couldn't go. She said no, and I said yes. You say goodbye, I say hello. So it's like a fucking Beatles song. And I never went, and they're regrets of my life. Because I had every intention of living either in Rome or in Messina, Sicilia. I said, I'm going to live there. Went to neither because of that lady. I've got nothing against the lady, don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against the lovely lady. But it just never worked out, and that was it. That's why I'm here. That's why I go to Sainsbury's, doing all my shopping and looking at the list, going, God, blimey, it's gone up again. Fuck me. So you haven't come across terrible. This is our free speech, Odette. Never forget that. And the Red Bears will tell you that. Johan will tell you that. Toscana will tell you. Bella Italia will tell you. Everyone will tell you. Odette, says the Red Bear. Many have been saying they are Christian for years, and the dewy brainwashed sheeple believe them. Idiots. The most of them are do-gooders. The do-gooders are the worst in the world. Redbird, as you know, and as I know. And you know what? They don't they go back to their little leafy suburbs in their homes. Oh, let's help these people, please. Let's help these people. Oh, please. And we're fucking left with it. Just haven't a fucking clue. True, you never disrespect the laws of the land you're in. No. And you know what? I'm glad you said that there. I go to Italy and you see people. I've been all over Europe. I have. I've been every fucking where. And you see people. I'll tell you a little story in a moment. You see people and it's got English breakfast. And you see them all in there, fucking English breakfast. Now, these same people who are eating all the English breakfast don't have fucking the breakfast that they're having. They just have some Kellogg's or something, cup of tea around a toast and they're off. They never try the cuisine of the country they're in. They never do it. They never fucking do it. I've sat in cafes and restaurants in Italy, and they're all having, if they're English, they're having fucking English. So they don't respect, different cultures. And yet, they'd have an Italian here. or the Indian, or the Chinese. Crazy, isn't it? But I'm cynical, you see. I think I've become, as I've got older, I've become more cynical on everything. And that's that. When I on holiday in another country, I love going to where the locals. So do I, and I like to integrate. So do I, and learn their culture. So do I. Doing so, learn a bit of language and show respect. Please, this is absolutely true. This. I was in a place called Lido di Eslo, which I'm going to next year, bringing my little granddaughter to see Juliet's Balcony in Verona. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, as you know, on the beach. And this big black fella came over, and it must have been about 40 odd degrees, and this fella had towels around him. Loads of towels over him, selling towels. And he said something in Italian. And the fella said, I said, he can buy that for there. So, and he went, no. Shoot, he said. So anyway, the fella went. I didn't want one. So the fella went, and he said, people are so annoying. I said, he's trying to sell something, And he said, no, they're annoying. He said, and they don't speak English. And so I started talking to this fella. And he worked like a big boss he was. And I'm not talking on the shop floor, by the way, for Fords. For Fords, he said, I'm always going from here, from England over to America because it's a big American thing. I said, yeah. And he was carrying on. I said, and we had to go to a meeting in France, Paris. So we went to this meeting, and they started off in French. He said, and I stood up, and I said, no. I said, it has to be English. He said, I can't speak French. I don't speak any foreign language because English should be spoken all over the world by everybody. And I thought, how fucking snobby was that? And that was all because of a black lad trying to sell a fucking beach towel. And I said, so everywhere, I said, so if you go to the middle of Borneo, in the middle of a jungle, you'd expect like a little indigenous person to be speaking English. He said, yes. I will not. I said, well, what are you doing here? He said, I love Italy. And I just want to get to Venice. I said, well, he said, no, Italians speak English. And that's what kind of fucking people, that English. Fuck. It's like what the Ukrainians called the Russian-speaking people, and Russia itself as subhuman. That's why they're getting rid of the culture. And look at the literature and the music of Russia. Last I heard, says the Red Birds, which was a few years back, they get free driving lessons, also $7,000 towards a car. Outrage. Well, I mentioned, I don't know whether you were listening to me then. You must have. Most people don't know all the free stuff they get. And I did it, but they got like a pound below 2,000 quid. So now, obviously, with inflation and it goes up, it's incredible. Witness the first out. Fucking shocking. Oh, spot on there. Yet they get loads. Like as I said, I've been waiting for physio for 3.5 years. I was put on the back burner. Now, thank God, I'm going to see a neurosurgeon on the 28th of this month. And I'm made up. Delighted. I just want to be okay. Just want to get my granddaughter to Verona. And my daughter, she's coming like to look at her. I won't be able to look at them. Sophie, she'll be running all over the place. And I want to go on a cruise. I just want to go out for a bevy as well. Toscana to the alley. Romanian nurse looked after my dad and I could communicate in Italian. I'll always be grateful as my dad was elderly. Oh, with dementia. Fucking hell, that terrible disease. Johan, Frank, I'm in India and the local taxi drivers here can speak English. They were shaking the piss. Of course they were taking the Michael out of me. Well, no, they weren't taking the Michael out of me, but he was taking the fucking Michael out of the system. Because I knew. I was that first day, this lovely Brazilian girl. Stunning. I said to her, I was talking to her, after you get to know these people. I said, what are you doing here? She said, you speak English? Yeah. I've got a boyfriend. And I went, not one of them, is it? You can't speak English. Can he speak English? She said, no. It's one of the, and she mentioned this teacher's name. Fucking hell. I said, you knock about with him? The fucking state of him. Fucking hell. He's the luckiest man in the world. Ali the Noose to Romanian people are good people, but we have immigrants who live in Romania and go to other countries and destroy our image. Roma people, gypsies, they destroy Romania as well, yes. But they always get the blame for everything. Sunak's wife is yeah, of course she is. And you know what? With him, that prick, and going on about Russia and all, fucking yeah. Her dad has big businesses in Russia. That was said about that, though, wasn't he? Again, puppets. Night Bella, Toscana. Ali the Noose, we know the difference. We know Romanians are good people. My ex's cousins are married to 2 Romanian ladies in Italy and are well respected. Merci for another great podcast. Thank you for giving everyone a voice, Monsieur Frank. There are very few forums today which allow for the truth to be spoken without ridicule or bias. So, thank you very much. No, thank you for joining us. And don't forget, people, I've got my little thing tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, 10:30, film and TV review. Franco, I'm going to school, the school reunion next week. I can't wait to tell teachers I've learned more on your podcast than that school. Wouldn't mind, but I had to pass the 11 plus to get in. Me too. And XNT, truth is subjective. Indoctrination directs the truth, you see. Truth is subjective. Is that like what you're saying? So anybody, if it's subjective, anybody will be looking at, say, propaganda, and they'll think that's the truth. Is that what you're saying? I tell you, it's like Leo Tolstoy. And he said, history would be a wonderful thing if it was true. Think about that, XNT. And think what Shakespeare said as well. Oh, what a terrible era we live in, while idiots govern the blind. Think about that. So truth is subjective. Indoctrination, you could be indoctrinated with, it's only what Leo Tolstoy said. History would be a wonderful thing if it was true because, you know, I'm a historian. And when you look at certain things and you go, whoa, no thanks, not having that. Because my old professor said to me, Frank, break down the walls, drag away at the propaganda. And then you come to the wall. And on that wall is printed the truth. And that's what I've always done. Yeah, XNT. Indoctrination directs the truth, you see. Powerful. Thank you, XNT. Beautiful. Admit it. We in France in recent years, Napoleon and Josephine monuments have been attacked. Far left mobs, vandalism, and trying to erase Napoleon from French history. Britain have their similar issues too. Napoleon was one of the greatest minds. He brought warfare as it should have been. I'll be doing him anyway in a few weeks, Napoleon. I'll be doing about him. Free speech is dead except to certain groups. But who are the certain groups? It's the groups that make people puppets. Frank, I saw this quote on a wall here. Quote, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it." Unquote. Stuck in my heart. That's a brilliant quote. It's just like what Voltaire said, wasn't it? The rich get richer because they have an abundance of poor. An abundance of poor. They're a bit. They quote that, lads, says the one. It is. And the red birds. I said, no worries, girl, you're great. There you go. Toscana. Odette, you make some great points. My parents came here from Italy legally with work contracts, worked as assimilated and made a life here. They wouldn't have done it any other way. No, of course. And the red bird. You'll have to start going to Aldi. It's great, a lot cheaper than Sainsbury's. Yep, you're right, red bird. You're not cynical, Frank. You're awake unlike the so-called woke joke idiots. Yeah. Thank you for that bit. Isn't it great to visit another country? Try speaking the language, try their food, vino, and learn about the culture. That's the whole point. I want to go to Japan next. My grandson's just come back from there. He said it was chaotic, but loved it. Loved it. Johan. Frank, I'm honestly guilty of being hypocritical of that. I had a full English for lunch. It was quite nice, to be fair. Cheap meats are allowed once a fortnight. Just missed home, of course. No, it's every bloody day that these people. Fucking hell. Where am I hearing this? It's people. They're on. It's every day. Fucking roast dinners are on Sunday. Sunday roast. In the middle of the fucking Sorrento. Yeah, okay, fella. Yes, I heard what you said about you know who, says to them. Yes. Romania was under communism or socialist regime before 1989. Then you were very safe, even at night. Because they cracked down on murderers and sex crimes and these fucking burglars. I fucking hate thieving. I know I shouldn't be. I'll get to you. I was watching a podcaster yesterday who went to Tokyo to try and find somewhere that sold a full English breakfast and dinner. Odd, but everyone to their own. Glad you enjoyed it. You wouldn't believe that, would you? Might have been my grandson. And so I must be the only person who's never had a full English. Oh, go away. I was looking at telly today, you know, YouTube. And there was this woman about fried eggs and poached eggs. And I went, I bought a little machine. I think it was out of that B&M, is it? Or Home Bargain? Or some fucking way anyway. And I bought it. Now, my old girl, my mum, she made fantastic poached eggs. And I've never had a poached egg since. So anyway, I was looking at this thing and I went, makes poached eggs. So I got one. Bought one. Poached egg maker. It works. It works. It's great. So we have a poached egg. So not every day, you know what I mean? Do you know when you just feel like something? It really does work. This little poached egg maker. Yes. Frank is happy with his little poached egg maker. I went to Ireland, says Odette, to Toscana. Belfast have some similar to full English called Ulster Fry. Best cooked breakfast I ever had. I want you to come to Belfast. We'll give you a fine breakfast. And Johan to Odette. If you ever find yourself in Pompeii, visit Poetry by Love in Bandra. They serve a brilliant full English. No black puddings though, but I've never liked them. Do you know what? I used to, honest, Johan, I used to love black pudding, right, done properly, on a piece of bread with brown sauce. HP. I'm hungry now. Oh, blimey. Do you ever remember me telling you about spaghetti bolognese? Bolognese. And I was talking to the chef. And his girlfriend said, tell him what you put in the bolognese. And I told you I tried it. And it was scrumptious. I couldn't believe it. Have you forgot about that? Because I haven't. Merci. You have to send Monsieur Frank to show us on his futures. How do you find the local cuisine? Yes. I see. Look. I was brought up in an Italian household, and that's all I ever had was Italian. And obviously, as you get up, I like fried egg. Love it. And bacon. But everything now goes in the air fryer, doesn't it? The bacon. And the poached egg goes in. The poached egg maker. What's this show being like tonight? It's been mad on it. Kempachi. Thoughts on the Illuminati. That's a show, that. That's you know, I'm a historian, as you know, and this is like current affairs, but the Illuminati is a full show. And I'll be surprised what people are in the Illuminati, what associations. Powerful. So, you know, if you ever want me to do a show, stream on about, you know, about the Illuminati, no problem. And the red-bird, the sheeple would not know the truth if it was slapped in their face. I've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. Red-bird. Your answer, Odette. Overwhelming to say the least. I don't have words for it yet. And merci, Monsieur Redbird. Hope you're well. You be working hard today, says Odette. He always works hard. That man. Up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work. And Campacci. Pep Guardiola would say Charger was 1,000 game when Manchester City hosts Liverpool. He has lost only 128. Yeah, Ken. What you're after? Not. He is a great manager. He is a great manager. There's no getting away from that. I didn't want to do any football, but I'll just say this. I will say this, Campacci. If he would have took over Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp took over Liverpool, he would never have done what Jurgen Klopp did on a shoestring budget, ever. He had the wealth there to go and buy whoever he wanted. That's why. And another thing, he's never been a proven manager because he had the wealth at Barca. And Bayern, by the way. But, you know, Campacci, I'm not taking anything away. Great manager. And to lose 128 games in 1,000 games, that's unbelievable. On a debt to Mr. Kemp, I'm more interested. He learns about 115 charges his team deserves to have administered to them. And there you go. And they haven't, nothing's happened. Excuse me, I'm sorry for doing this. It's fucking nuts of this. Poached eggs are my favourite, says Johan. Want to get yourself one of these things? Unbelievable. Just break your little leg in it, put it on, and you've got your little poached. You can either have it nice, you know, nice and soft, or you can have it, you know, a little bit harder. It's got a little measurement, and I'm sure my daughter threw me little measurements out. So really, I can't measure it. I'm team scrambled eggs myself. I make a fantastic scrambled egg. IBR, honestly. IBR, I make a fantastic scrambled egg. Toscana. Egg yolk with Marcella Sicilian fortified wine was breakfast for me as a child before school. Wine before the wine before we go into battle. I love good poached eggs on toast, says the Redbird. Yes. Yes. Spaghetti bolognese. He must have been drunk that night because I don't remember it. Oh yeah. This girl, this chef. I don't know. They just stopped talking. Just hello. You're fine, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And anyway, we were talking. She said, he's a chef. I said, oh yeah. He said, yes. I said, oh, well, that's good. She said, tell him about your pasta got mentioned. And she said, tell him about your bolognese. I said, I love a bolognese. Love it. And she said, anyway, I gave the recipe, what I put in, because she said, well, and she went, tell him what you put in. Tell him. So anyway, he told me, and I went, oh, I'm genuine this. I said, okay. I made some bolognese. I said, I think I'll try that. And I did it. And I put it in. Fucking hell. It's unbelievable. This little thing. Daryl, Frankie. Hey, Daryl. The Redbird. The Illuminati has a lot to answer for, but we will never get the... Of course we won't. Of course we won't. Even in Daryl Merry says, yo, man. Tonight's chat has been excellent, says the excellent. I love pappardelle ragu or spaghetti carbonate. Surprisingly, I'm not into French nouvelle cuisine nonsense. I love traditional French cooking. Très bon. Well, I'll tell you what, Odette, I'll make you a bolognese if you make me a traditional French meal. How about that? Très bon. Evening, Johan, the nice man, Mancunian. That's nice, says Daryl. Mamma mia. Do you know how long I've been on here, by the way? 3 hours? The Redbird. I guess it's been a hard day's work. I'll be sleeping like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do that makes me feel all right. Do you know what you say? But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do that makes me feel all right. You can take that any way you want. Because as McCartney said, when I'm home, everything seems to be all right. Feeling you, holding me tight, tight. Retro gamer. Pep is like a Marino. They go where the money is to build teams. Yes. Spot on there, Retro. Odette, spaghetti carbonate. Carbonara. Sorry, carbonara. English, not great at times. Stop it. Behave. We all know what you meant. And so Man City should be relegated like Rangers were. Let's see how good Pep is then. Juve got relegated, didn't they? I'm sorry about this. I always get these itches right underneath me nose, right here. Terrible. Makes my eyes water, you know. The itches. And that's it. All this food so made me want to go and make something before bed. Yolky eggs and toast. Yes. Shall I have a poached egg? Oh, do you know what I'm going to have? I got myself some, like shredded. Why am I doing that? I got myself some shredded iceberg lettuce. And what I'm going to have is a little sandwich. Got some pastrami there. Got some cheese. Shredded lettuce. But I won't put salad cream on it. Because with the pastrami, I've got this cheese and salami. And it's beautiful. But I also have sliced corned beef. Oh, love it. But I love this cheese and pastrami. And the lettuce. So a little sandwich when I go to bed. Before I go, well, I'll watch a film. No bed for Frank. And the Odette. I thought it was carbonara, but you're spelling in carbonara. You had me fooled. See? He's got to be up at 5 o'clock. That's why he's tired as our red bed. And you're almost 3 hours, Franco. Get some rest. Film showing. Yes. Are you going to watch it? Will it be all right? Will you be watching it tomorrow, Johan? I mean, answer the death. I've got two eggs in 3-pan omelette. Yeah, I love. I make a fantastic. Honest to God, I make a fantastic scrambled egg. The Beatles still getting mentioned after all these years. Best group ever, says the lovely Toscana. The search goes from there to there to here. Dreams I am. The Beatles. The Beatles. Frank Abdon in. So time for me to say goodbye, my friend. Sleep well. Marvellous chat, says the Red Bird. who's been up since 5 a.m. working hard, working like a dog. But when he gets home to you, he finds the things that you do that will make him feel all right. Great. Might go out and watch a nice Bollywood movie tomorrow. Yes, why not? Why not? And retro Alec. Simon Jordan was saying a few weeks back that I think the Premier League guy wants a Premier League 2. The abandon and the rest of the pyramid, do you think could happen? Yeah. Whatever Sky says goes. I'm telling you now. Telling you now. Because I don't like saying this. Please, I don't. You have the also-rans in the Premiership. And that's why I think they'll split it. And I tell you what else is going to be split. A European League. I'm telling you now. A European League. With the best teams in Europe competing. And the likes of the Premiership, that'll be for like a team to come in if they win the Premiership. Just one. And whoever finishes at the bottom of the leagues will go out in the European League. I'll work out something like that. A debt. A mixture of food, music, culture, politics, current affairs. Wow, this has been a very good tonight. 3 hours. What a blast. Thank you for making it so good. Time for tea and toast and bedtime. Bonsoir. Bonsoir, Odette. Bonsoir. Mon chéri. Mon chéri. Sunday City Lab prediction. I'll Ken. I'll give the prediction on the watch along. The watch along on Sunday. I'll do the pre-match, the watch along, and the post-match, as I normally do. And Johan saw a moral of London and bought 2 days. I'll go away. The culture is strong. What was I watching? Do you know what? Liverpool were playing. And do you know the way it goes around? And they were in India. Don't know where they were. Could have been Mumbai. Could have been, I don't know. And you see, all these reds. They're all made up. And but on the wall, you've seen the Beatles, poster of the Beatles. I think, because of the bar, I forget what it was. Was it I think it was a restaurant or something. But anyway, and there was this poster up because it was like Liverpool playing, and there must have been like a Liverpool place, if you know what I mean, with all these Indian reds. And the Beatles on the wall. Buonanotte, Franco, says IBR. It's been a cracking show, and real good crackers, my eggs and toast already. I'm going myself now. And Johan says, Kempachi, hope you smashed them 5-0 on Sunday. And the lovely Bella. I'll finish on this, you wonderful people. Franco, I was going to bed, but I've been listening all the time. Oh, Bella, what a fantastic show. It's been... Thank you. That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. God blimey, I'm hungry now. Yes, I don't think I'll have I don't know what to fucking have until I go in there and have a look. I'll let you know what it is. Let you know what I've had tomorrow. Digital screens alight, friendship spark glows bright. On YouTube, sharing views, talking everything that's news. Ah, excellent stuff. Oh, Anthony would have been made of it. That's brilliant. Thank you, Bella. And on that fine note, I'll just say, mille grazie, ciao tutti, a mattina, domani, 10, mezz'ora, mattina. Grazie and buonanotte. Franco and Chatter's going to watch A Hard Day's Night. See you in the morning. Because the Beatles were mentioned. That's good, though. Just shows you, doesn't it? You know, things like that make you want to watch something. Namaste, Franco and Legends. Oh. Is that good night in Indian? I'm going now. Love yous all. See some of you tomorrow and some of you on Sunday. Thank you. I'm going. Don't know where the thing is. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I love yous all. And see some of you tomorrow and Sunday. Ciao.